Quiet on set!
And action.
Welcome back to the Quiet on Set podcast. I'm Jon Graf and I'm joined by Kevin Talmans, and it is Oscar week. Who will win, Sinners or One Battle After Another? I rewatched both of them, not for the Oscars, but for our updated and final top 25 of 2025 list.
Reminders of Him is our main review this week, and my first Colleen Hoover film at that too. Will I want to check out her previous adapted movies after this one? Stay tuned to find out, because I can't say it now, right now. Or, I mean, can I?
I'm heading to Cannes, yes, and you can too, because you're coming to Cannes as well. I'm going for the 5th time. Kevin's going for the 1st time. And we're very much looking forward to it.
I'm a Cannes version.
Sure, you can put it like that. Yeah, it's just. And I will deflower you. How far do you want to extend this bit?
that went already too far. But what is this with 2026 and you wanted me to bone? Like, we got the Bone Temple now, this one. I don't know what you want to do to me, but I'm scared to share a bunk, like a place with you now. What the fuck? What are you gonna do to me?
Yeah, no, we already have a place secured, and it's already all in order. We were kind of we were manifesting that this will happen, like already setting all the things, setting it up before we even got the approval, and we did get that yesterday, even though it is Friday the 13th today as of recording. On Thursday the 12th, we got the good news that we'll be going to Cannes yet again. And as a veteran by now, you know, my 5th time here, I think I'll be very comfortable to show you around, and it will be a very pleasant time. I think Cannes is always one of the 2 highlights of the year when it comes to film festivals for me, that and Venice. And now we get to share it. It's the 78th edition of the festival, actually, and the selection of
same age as you.
Selection. Okay, I'm just going to not doing that today. The official selection comes out on the 9th of April, and we'll probably do like we did last year, an overview of the program. Excitingly, Park Chan-wook is the jury president, so there's not the unlikeliest of chance that we see him in Cannes, which is very exciting. And I also kind of assembled a bit of a list of films that are speculated, rumored to be coming to Cannes before we get the announcement, which also will not include every single title. Like, for example, Highest to Lowest wasn't confirmed last year. I think Die My Love was also one that got added late. I'm not entirely sure, but Highest to Lowest for sure was added later because it wasn't in that initial video I did. Yeah, having a look at the list that we can put on screen right now, which a lot of them do not have posters. You just see the titles. There's a lot of the films that we discussed in our most anticipated of 2025. And there's a few films that were already kind of confirmed to not be going. Like when it comes to Cannes, there's always the blockbuster. Last year, that was Mission Impossible, The Final Reckoning that was playing there. Top Gun Maverick played there. There was also Elemental that played there on the last day of the festival, and sometimes a bit earlier. They do have the blockbuster tie-ins. It seems like Disclosure Day is not going, Toy Story 5 is not going, we're not getting Mandalorian and Grogu, and not that we are clamoring for any of these movies, but a lot of them are not set to be going there. And to me, the only one that's sort of left that's a big release is Masters of the Universe. So I don't know if we'll get an announcement that one is going to play there. Having a look at the list, obviously, Kevin, for you, the one that you are hoping for the most is Hope, right?
I mean, low-key, I think Hope is already guaranteed for Cannes. If you know that all of his films have already debuted at Cannes, from The Wailing, I'll just quickly to confirm. The Chaser debuted at Cannes. The Yellow Sea 2010 debuted at Cannes. The Wailing debuted at Cannes. So why wouldn't this one debut at Cannes either? And it's always probably in the main competition. Maybe not his first or second, because I can't see that on Letterboxd, but I'm assuming this is main competition already. And the only movie I'm hoping for is The Furious. The Furious debuted at either Fantastic Fest or Toronto Film Festival. I'm not really sure. I'm hoping for that to be in a special section at Cannes somewhere, because I know sometimes they do have those type of movies in those subsections. Sorry Baby, for example, debuted at Sundance, but was also in Cannes at one of the subsections. So hoping for The Furious there. again, looking forward to that the most.
The places where they do, because in the official gun selection, it's always has to be a first premiere, like world premiere. So it's the Gazien des Cinéastes, like the filmmakers week, where you do get to see, or the critics week sometimes, where you see movies that have played at other festivals. That's where, some of the, like in critics week is, for example, where After Sun played. After Sun didn't play in the main competition anywhere in Gun. So we'll have a look out as always. Like even for this year, or last year when I went in 2025, there were a bunch of movies that I now got to see later on that I missed in Gun, and I watched 70 movies there. So I didn't really miss anything, but like,
I mean,
there's like
same with Venice.
It's so dense in how like amazing the movies are. So I think one other film that was confirmed to have been submitted if it gets selected is apparently like as of 2 or 3 days ago they only have selected 3 movies in competition that they've locked in so far. The rest is really still being negotiated. Bucking Faster, like the movie with Kate and Rooney Mara by Werner Herzog, is got submitted. So but there was also like talks around that the new James Gray film, what's it called? Something Tiger, I believe. Paper Tigers. Paper Tiger might not has been submitted but it might not get in. Maybe was it rejected? It seemingly is not going there. And I remember, I think a few years ago, one of his other films, Armageddon Time, I think was playing at one of the festivals. Maybe it was even, it did premiere in Gun too. But there's like we'll have the list linked below. A bunch of films like the new Ryosuke Hamaguchi, All of a Sudden, the new Joel Coe movie, Jack of Spades, Fjord from Christy Montague. There's the new Almodovar movie that might be playing there, Bit of Christmas. Lucas Don with Coward, Asghar Farhadi with Parallel Tales, Nicholas Winding Refn with Her Private Hell. There's also Hirokazu Kuraeda with Sheep in a Box, Pavel Pavlovsky with 1949. There's a lot of people. Like there's an untitled Mike Leigh film that might be going there. And yeah, there's even more. Like the Zellner brothers have a movie called Alpha Gang that could be playing there. From the you didn't care for Sasquatch Sunset at all. There's a movie called Switzerland by Anton Corbin that apparently is like might be like could be going there. Like there's a new Andrew Hay movie called The Long Winter. Hilnio Balmarsson from now I'm blanking on his name. We're literally going to talk about The Love That Remains. On Land and Sea might have a new movie. The one that did the voice of Hind Rajab, Kader Ben Hanya, Mimesis. There's so much like Even Sex and Death at Camp Miasma. Like there's so many possibilities of a lot of films that could be playing there. But again, we'll have more information on those once we actually have the confirmations. But now we are in the fun speculation part of all of this, where even something like Digger, which has already said a release date, is, some people were saying, it might premiere Cannes. I'm pretty sure that Iñárritu is going to stick with Venice, where he premiered his last couple of films. The latest being Bardo that played there, right? Or was there one in between?
I believe so, yeah.
That was Bardo, right? So, yeah. Also, the Ruben Östlund film, The Entertainment System is Down, has been delayed to 2027. It was confirmed by Deadline, so that is also not coming. Also, Way of the Wind. It's funny, like, that movie is apparently in purgatory. It's I don't know if it will ever release. And with Ruben Östlund, it's apparently stuck in the edit as well, because there's like a ton of footage that they shot. So I don't know what that means for the quality of those films, but yeah.
The thing that I remember from Way of the Wind is like, we got like 3,000 hours of footage to go to, and it's like, bro, you did not need to do all this. And it's also like the same with the Game of Thrones writer, like it's Winter and Winds or whatever. It's like it's never coming out.
Oh, Winds
it's
of
the
Winter,
same thing here. Yeah. It's never.
And they both have wins in the title. Yeah, there's definitely a connection. But anyways, that's gun coverage done for now until we do get that announcement, and then we'll be there for all 10 or 11 days of the festival.
And I think it's also going to be fun to perhaps share some movies, because you said like you watched 70 movies, you didn't watch all of them. Now we're there with 2 people. Yeah. Now I'll probably seek some of the movies out that he won't watch, so we'll cover it all.
It's pretty tough. The way that Gun works is that there's, I think, also 2021 competition titles. Does vary, I think, slightly every year. It might be even more. It might even be 22 or 23, but I'm not 100% on that. But I watched all but one last year, and then I watched that like a few weeks after the festival. And then Un Certain Regard, I tried to like the Horizonte, their like, you know, special spotlight.
Yeah, no.
That one, I did not cover all of them, but it is impossible to watch everything if you don't get screeners for like the outside sections, because they are not in line with obviously the main competition from Cannes. So it can be a bit tough to like feel like you covered the whole festival. But yeah, the two of us, that gives us, I think we'll still watch basically all of competition, both of us, and then we'll see. However, like the same way that we do it in Venice too, which was crazy, the way that we, you know, seek out every single movie there. So I can't wait. I can't wait to be so exhausted and then come back and talk about movies for hours and hours. But Kevin, let's have a look at like 2025, because at the end or the beginning of the new year, I can't remember if we did it. We did it before the end of the year, right? Because we didn't include something like the anime
100 meters.
100 meters, exactly. For that reason, we are having an updated look at our top 25 of 2025. For me, what was already said during that recording is like the list of movies I have yet to see. And it was like, is this thing on? And then a bunch of films like the Christophers, the Rivals of Messiah King, like movies that haven't come out yet since, that, you know, are going to probably come out in fall of like this year. So I didn't have that much to catch up on, but I felt like with some of my exclusions, and I can put my previous list on screen here again of what I selected. There were a few movies that, you know, towards the bottom that got swapped out, but we also made the decision that like anything that only played at festivals, that did not have a wide release in at least one country, that like, you know, sometimes in France or in Europe, for example, Silent Friend hasn't come out yet in the States. It only comes out in like May 13th or something like that.
Way too long.
But it has released in France, in Germany, and in Switzerland, so we did count that as a movie that could be on our list. So I'll start with what I removed. Like, I got rid of Remake, Ross McElvee's incredible documentary. I really hope that does get a release somehow, because it hasn't played outside of the Venice Film Festival at all. Renoir, which is getting a release, like for example here in Switzerland, it's about to come out, I think, in a couple of weeks. But I really connected with that. Julie Keeps Quiet, you saw that as a 2024 movie, so I also said like, no, I'll take it off of my list. And then towards the bottom of the list, I did actually kick out the Ballad of Wallace Island, but also my beloved best movie from Switzerland in a couple of years, Held in Late Shift. I did knock it out and added in on a rewatch Sinners and One Battle After Another. I know it was already crazy for me to not have included both of those films. I know on your initial list, Sinners wasn't in, but One Battle After Another was. I additionally added The Love That Remains, and then my big markup for The Secret Agent that we also discussed in a lot of detail a couple of weeks back got in, but then also a movie, the only movie I caught after, like in 2026, Renovation, a really small movie that has only like come out digitally in the Ukraine, and it hasn't had like an actual like theatrical run at all, but you can find it. And I really was taken aback by that film, and we also reviewed that, should hopefully be on. We should clip that as well. I don't know why I never clipped that. I guess it's too many movies that we review every week. But that's my update, and I can show you on screen what that looks like. Like, some stuff shifted around slightly. I moved down some of the documentaries a bit and made space for The Love That Remains at spot number 14, at 15 Sinners, and One Battle After Another at 16. Those were political moves, you know, to have Sinners above One Battle After Another, for sure. Yeah, I can read out my list at the end again. But Kevin, what sort of changes did you make to your list? Oh, thoughts on mine, if you wanna talk about, like, you know, anything that surprises you potentially.
Well, I'm not gonna lie, I was a bit surprised to keep Silent Friend in, because I kicked that out as part of the rules, but I guess I could have put it in. But anyway, I'm not gonna do any changes now.
I would also have to kick out Des Preuves d'Amour, you know, because that also didn't release in the States. So.
Oh well. Fucking international release. Why can't movies just release like everywhere on the same day? Like, not even like day and date on online streaming services, but like at least like a couple of weeks, like, from each other internationally instead of months.
Yeah, I mean, even Toy Story 5 got pushed by a week because I think it interferes with
World
one
Cup.
of the weekends for the World Cup. Probably got moved here in Switzerland because Switzerland plays a game or something like that. It's probably the reason. But yeah, even that is quite annoying, even though it's just a week. But
I'm surprised that Resurrection. I mean, I know you're itching for that rewatch. I'm curious if it'll get a bump upwards or downward.
The thing is, I really just left it where it was, because I didn't like, apart from moving stuff out and it being shuffled, I think by one spot maybe, but I wasn't confident in ranking it up or down without a rewatch, so I left it there.
I guess the biggest thing to talk about is Sinners coming into your list.
Yeah.
Tell me the thought process behind that. I know you were so. I mean, you weren't hot on it in the beginning. I think it's a fair thing to say. Now with it being such a front runner for the best actor and best picture, tell me what did that rewatch do for you?
I feel like for me, even on the first watch, that performance of I Lied to You is the movie moment of the year. I was engrossed in the story even on my first watch. What really took it down for me is those final 10 minutes that I feel like are very over-edited. And I sort of overcorrected when I gave my rating, which was a 7 out of 10 before. Really was a 7.5 out of 10 at all times, and I now marked it up. I now marked it up on Letterboxd to a 4.5 out of 5, which I would still say is like an 8.5 out of 10. Because I think most of the movie is actually like at a 9, and I really just don't like the way that it, especially in the epilogue, like cuts in certain moments. It feels like it is so like sort of you haven't paid attention or want to emphasize these moments more that I felt were like unneeded, unnecessary. But I feel like this movie clicks into place. It clicked into place for me in the first time, but like I said, I just overcorrected on some of the editing that isn't even an issue in like 95% of the movie. It really is that 5% at the end, and it feels a bit unfair. Like I had to debate for me for a while, how much does it degrade this film that I really don't like the way that it's edited, but I did like the scene within that a lot. So it felt like, no, this is still a really, really strong movie that I shouldn't punish for that reason alone so much. So yeah, that's why I moved up.
Okay, I don't really have much else. Like maybe Hamnet is like quite high for you, and it isn't for me, but we've talked about that.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah.
Kevin, Black Bag is in the top 10 now. That's one of the things that was important to me.
Oh shit!
It is in the top 10.
I just realized.
It is in the top 10.
Where was it originally?
11.
Oh, now it's in the top 10.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
Great. I do want to out you out for forgetting to put Renovation and Secret Agent on. I know, sorry. I think it's too funny. Because I was like, wait, you didn't put those two movies in your top 25? And then you like literally, you sent me in text for him. Oh, yeah.
I was doing something else and I had to type that as I was standing here like this. And I was like, oh shit, I'm freaking out right now. I have something else to do. I have to do this list again. Oh shit. And that was like my realization of that. And I guess I just sent it to you. But yeah.
Do you have any honorable mentions to say or not?
Wait, let me open my other list real quick.
Because like, for example, I'm not seeing Marty Supreme, for example, which is on many people's top 10, top 5. So like it is in the honorable mentions. What made it? What didn't?
I think in my honorable mentions, I obviously would still have Late Shift and the Ballad of Wallace Island. It's hard to say. Like Wallace and Gromit, Vengeance Was Foul, Havoc, Warfare. Like that has pretty much stayed the same, I believe, from the last time. Cool, I think I would like to, emphasize it's something like A Poet, which is now released in the States as well, or The Mastermind. Really were great films. But yeah, pretty much stayed the same when it comes to the shout-outs that I had last time around.
Okay, well, onto my list.
Have you seen your list? Yeah, no.
Have you seen it yet or not?
I have it open. Yeah, I can see it.
There are still some movies that I haven't seen, such as Magellan. Maybe could make it in. I know it comes out on VOD. We'll probably talk about it next week. Really looking forward to that movie, though. But the films that are out of my list due to this, rule that we made of no festival films. Rose of Nevada, which was my favorite. Silent Friend, Remake, Omaha, Pindafarti, also known as Endgame. Those are the movies that are now out of my 25. So how did it evolve? Oh god. Instead of just saying the movies that got in, let me just quickly go to the list. I have Black Mirror Eulogy at 25. I know, but Kevin, it's a series. It's only like 45 minutes long, but it's still one of the like most fine, most perfect storytelling I've seen all year in those tight 45 minutes with a great performance from Paul Giamatti. I cannot deny this like little short, like short film, but like even like a film out of the top 25. I truly can. In the bottom of my heart, I cannot. Number 24. This is a movie that recently got in. It's Eddington. Eddington got in the top 25. And honestly, Eddington is the little brother of One Battle After Another. And I love that I kind of watch Eddington after One Battle After Another. And it's like, this is a great double feature. Both aiming for comedy, but also have very serious themes going on. Again, I love a good shootout at the end. I thought Eddington was really entertaining as well, especially like a turning shot around Jacqueline Phoenix. I love that shot. Number 23, another new entry. We got Secret Agent. We've talked about this in detail, so I'm not going to say much more about it, but it made its entry in the top 25. Another new entry is She Taught Me Serendipity, which was a movie that I just absolutely vibed on, had great performances. Then at 21, we got Bob Torino Likes It. I've said my piece about that movie as well. New entry to Life of Chuck was actually below Bob Torino Likes It, but I can't lie. I've been thinking about Life of Chuck since I've seen it, and I was just like, I think I like it more. Yeah, sure, the Act 3 isn't as captivating as Act 1 and 2, especially with Tom Hiddleston dancing, but I just adore Life is Chuck, and Mike Flanagan doing something non-horror related. Like, it's so clear the man needed something like positive to put out into the world, if it makes sense what I'm saying. Number 19, we got Predators, the documentary, also talked about that. Number 18, Frankenstein took a few bumps down the list. Only now in 18, I believe it was originally like 14 or 13. Yeah, I still really like it, but again, as time goes on, you're like, which movie do I remember more? And if I had legs, I'd kick you. Is a movie I just remembered more. What a stress-inducing watch that was. But let's get to an even more stressful movie, which is Bring Her Back. It's quite funny. They're both two posters. They're a woman looking up. So it's a bit funny to put them next to each other in the list, but that's not the main reason why, okay? I base them on the movies, not on the posters. The newest entry in this list, Turnstile, Never Enough. I don't know what it is every year with these like music films coming out, but I was just so captivated by Turnstile, Never Enough. I've been rinsing the album. I've actually put on the film many times. I could have locked them 3 or 4 times by now, but I'm not gonna, like a good boy. And again, every year there's just this one music film and documentary that I'm really into, and I just, for context, wanted to dive back further. Even like this year, we got Elvis Presley in concert, which I was a really big fan of, even though I do not like the original Elvis movie at all. This year we got Turnstile, Never Enough. Like even something as Curlin 75, I was really into. Last year we had Eno. The year before it was Ryuichi Sakamoto's Opus. The year before that we had Nick Cave's This Much I Know to Be True, or like even a movie such as Squaring the Circle. And in 2021 we obviously had Bo Burnham Inside. And again, there's just every year there's this music film or documentary, like variants of, like even the Sparks Brothers documentary I really liked. So I guess I just need to look out for that one music film every year that gets into my top 25. Again, man, you need to watch it. It's so good. By the way, but it's a visual album. Ella Kemp had it in her top 20. I won't take any,
I know,
the letterbox.
I clicked on it and I saw Ella Kemp, and then I literally watched the movie because she had locked it with Secret and Lies. So, Ella, you are my North Star to guide me to this movie more than Kevin. I will watch it. I'll make sure to watch it.
At number 14, we do have the best animated movie from Netflix of this year with the best soundtrack. No, I'm not talking about K-pop Demon Hunters. Yes, I know I have said that joke 100 times. I am talking about Lost in Starlight. Number 13, the most important film of this year in terms of topic, The Voice of Hinduja. We've said our piece about that movie. it's like probably the movie we've talked about the most this year, honestly. Number 12, It Was Just an Accident. Number 11, It Ends. Again, such a great little movie that I just vibe with. Number 10.
Wait, sorry. That's a new entry, I think, as well. But you just said, like, it wasn't on the initial list. Because we did that, I think, right after. Oh, no, was it on the initial?
No, It Ends made it in.
Oh, yeah, you were like, oh, this is a surprise that made it just in time. I know, I got my timeline wrong, sorry.
It Ends wasn't in my top 5 horror. I think that's what you're mixing it up. Because I didn't watch it, but I watched it the day after. And then I was like, it might be my favorite horror movie of this year.
Yeah.
Number 10, we have One Battle After Another. I watched it like at the last year of 2025, like on New Year's. Like the first scene I started with was the 2026 was the white supremacy meeting, which is like something. Number 9, Left-Handed Girl. Number 8, Rewrite. Number 7, No Other Choice, was also a massive bump, like upwards of my list. Then we get to the number 6, The Love That Remains. Adore that movie. Number 5, Train Dreams. So technically, based on my list, my best picture of this year would be indeed Train Dreams. We also have Wake Up, Dead Man. Number 3 is Black Bag. I'm not gonna lie, I struggled with this one. I kept changing them back and forth, but I kept them in their original place. Resurrection is my number 2, and my number 1 is Blue Moon. But honestly, they could like switch so easily. Those 2 movies are definitely my favorite movies of this year. Yeah, that's about it.
I should have also said like Train Dreams should be an honorable mention on mine. I don't know why that did, like, I think in my ranking it might still be quite low for some reason, like when it comes to like the overall list, but it's close to the top 25. But yeah, to me there was nothing like very surprising honestly here, apart from Eddington, where some really polarizing opinions coming out of that. Like I gave it a 6 out of 10. I haven't seen it since Gun as well. The only thing I did rewatch was It Was Just an Accident. And I did bump it up from a 6 to a 7 out of 10. But I didn't think it was like, it still didn't resonate with me that much. So I'm quite like, that it makes it onto your list and the way that it's on here. Like the only thing that I was sort of wondering is like, hey, is Sinners going to make it in this iteration? But it's still not, even excluding festival films on your top 25. No surprise when it comes to the top of the list. I mean, similar to mine, I think I made like no change apart from no change to my top 10, only moving out Remake, and then everything else sort of sliding in. I really didn't move anything around there, but
I mean, there were quite a lot of entries in mine, and like 5 movies got out and like 5 movies got in, essentially. So, and even with I mean, my honorable mentions, like from 26 on, is like 100 meters, like just made it outside the top 25. Curlin 75, Held In, or like Late Shift. Then I got the horror movies this year again, and like I even dug 28 Years Later more than Sinners, and that still didn't make my top 25. We also got Exit 8. We also got Weapons, The Long Walk, like that little horror section. And then you have really good movies that just did not make it in. Sorry Baby, I Swear, Hamnet, Sentimental Value, Marty Supreme, Rebuilding, Renovation, a movie called Dead to Rights, The Perfect Neighbor, Ghost Killer, and I still do implore people to discover Good Night and Good Luck, live on Broadway. It's on Netflix. I really dug that film version of the play. So yeah, that's it.
I guess what I can see is that there's 2 documentaries on your list with Predators and The Voice of Hind Rajab. I guess
The Voice of Hind Rajab documentary.
Yeah. No, I mean it is. Not really. No, you're right. But they just use...
And Turnstile Never Enough is also not a documentary. It's like only Predators really is.
Then Predators is the only one that you would say. Yeah, I guess.
And The Perfect Neighbor, like I don't know if it was originally my top 25, but like I think it was very close.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Do you want to run us through your list in one go again?
Oh, like from 25.
What do you? Yeah.
For the shorts, right? Yeah. And
what?
I know you.
Who is the short you're talking about?
So my updated top 25 of 2025 is at number 25, Black Mirror Eulogy. Number 24, Eddington. Number 23, Secret Asian. Number 22, She Taught Me Serendipity. Number 21, Bob Trevino Likes It. Number 20, Life of Chuck. Number 19, Predators. 18, Frankenstein. 17, If I Had Legs, I'd Kick You. Number 16, Bring Her Back. Number 15, Turnstile, Never Enough. Number 14, Lost in Starlight. Number 13, The Voice of Hind Rajah. Number 12, It Was Just an Accident. Number 11, It Ends. Number 10, One Battle After Another. Number 9, Left-Handed Girl. Rewrite is number 8. 7, No Other Choice. Number 6, The Love That Remains. And then from the top 5, we have Train Dreams at number 5. Wake Up Dead Man as number 4. Black Bag is my third favorite film of this year, followed by Resurrection as my second favorite. And the biggest, winner, I guess, of my favorites is Blue Moon.
I got my updated list of the films from 2025 as well. At number 25, I got Pillion. At 24, Rebuilding. At 23, Cover Up. At 22, I got Predators. At 21, I got Renovation. At 20, Put Your Soul on Your Hand and Walk. At 19, could be moving up on the rewatch. It's currently Resurrection. At 18, The Perfect Neighbor. At 17, One Battle After Another. At 16, Sinners. At 15, The Love That Remains. At 14, Left-Handed Girl. At 13, Love Letters or Des Preuves d'amour. At 12, Lesbian Space Princess. 11, The Secret Agent. 10, Black Bag. At 9, The Voice of Hind Rajah. At 8, Hamnet. At 7, Silent Friend. At 6, Splitsville. At 5, Blue Moon. At 4, Sorry Baby. At 3, Frankenstein. Number 2, No Other Choice. And to me, the best movie of 2025 still is Sentimental Value. Cool. I love that, I could just, cut to you, and that would have been, the whole time he was mouthing along with me, because he has the list open as well.
What?
No, you learned that by heart, right? You knew.
I guess I did that unconsciously.
Sure. Then I think I also, think it's fun to, instead of talking about, Oscar predictions, will Sinners win in this and that category over One Battle After Another? Sure.
We don't care.
You've seen, actually, I don't. But there's been so many people who do that and who have centered around that content the whole time. So I think it's just fun to go through a couple of things, like best performance, maybe our favorite moment in a movie this year, and we're just going to have only a few categories, not too many, to discuss some of our favorite things in movies this year. And I think we can start off with our best performance, because we kind of share what we appreciated in this. I didn't go by gender, didn't go by supporting or lead, although we do sort of gravitate towards lead because they get more screen time, obviously. But for both of us, I think one of the best performances, if not the best performance of the year, was by Ethan Hawke in Blue Moon. Also, we both really enjoyed Lee Byung-hun in No Other Choice, right?
Yep.
And I also have Renate Reinsve in Sentimental Value. I think she's really outstanding, but that's a whole ensemble in a cast that I think really shines. And same with No Other Choice, but Lee Byung-hun does so much with his face in this movie and his whole body. It's such a great performance. But who do you have on your list?
I guess I did have a top 5 for both genders. Sorry, I did have the same as you, Ethan Hawke and Lee Byung-hun. Then I also have Joel Edgerton in Train Dreams. I have Josh O'Connor in Wake Up Dead Man, because he's essentially the lead in that movie. And then I'm gonna do a BAFTA move, and I'm gonna say Robert Aramayo for I Swear. I do think his performance in that was really great. In supporting, I'm actually going Skarsgård, and I do want him to win the Oscar as well, so I guess I'm rooting for him. And then female, best actresses, for me, Rose Byrne was my favorite female performance of this year in If I Had Legs, I'd Kick You. I have Eva Victor for Sorry Baby. I have Leonie Benesch for Late Shift. And I have Sally Hawkins in Bring Her Back. Not many people have talked about Sally Hawkins enough. As well as Akari Takaishi in Ghost Killer. One of the most fun performances to watch this year, as she switches back in this girl that is scared for her life, and then also this cold-blooded hitman and assassin. Wonderful role to watch her in. And then my honorable mention would be Amanda Seyfried in The Testament of Anne Lee, because that's really a movie and a performance that have not been talked about enough. Mm-hmm. And I think there are a couple of reasons of that. We probably could have mentioned it with Seyfried last week with The Bride. The Housemaid came out around the same time as Testament of Anne Lee, so that movie got like a lot of exposure from that, like taken away from that. And also, I think the marketing has just been handled very poorly. They were like, "Oh, we're from the creators of The Brutalist. Like that'll carry enough weight for an entire marketing run and the film festival things." And I just don't think they shot themselves in the foot with that kind of tactic.
Do you remember how people responded to The Brutalist in Venice? They were like saying best movie of the decade, 10 out of 10. Like,
yeah.
And there just wasn't that response for Anne Lee. So I think that like the upwards potential for this movie was always small, but even there, it felt like it wasn't even cherished for how great of a performance it is, how great of a period piece it is. And it is out on VOD now. So you can go see it right now, even if it's not playing anywhere in theaters. You should get your hands on it.
It even came out in theaters in Belgium this week as well.
Yeah, I think it does not have no, it actually might have a release here in Switzerland, but yeah. When it's a festival stuff, I honestly am paying a bit less attention to it because it feels so delayed, and it's unfortunately not really relevant for the podcast. Because it only would be for Swiss people who listen to this, which shout out to you guys. I know that there are a few who listen from Switzerland, but still, like, you know, it becomes a bit harder. Yet again, these stupid release dates. Anyways.
How about a best ending?
Best ending. I think the one in Sentimental Value is one of the things, like, it's not the very end that I think you... actually, is it the last scene? I think it's, like, I forget what part is in your montage, but I think it is, like, one of the last shots that is in your montage.
Yeah.
As it
like
pulls out
the stare down, the look at each other when finishing that scene.
Well, I wouldn't even call it, they are looking at each other. I wouldn't call it staring, but it almost feels like staring because they can't look away. Yeah, no, I guess staring could be in the way that you put it. That's really strong. I really like the one in Sorry Baby. That whole thing with like talking to the like giving the titular thing of the movie, you know, sort of, for me it resonated so much when I rewatched that movie. And then Hamnet, I just liked that. Like, Hamnet is really a long, drawn-out ending if you include the whole thing, but it also doesn't like extend beyond that. It really just, like, you know, is ending on very much a high. So yeah, I think those would be the 3 movies that I nominate for best ending of the year.
For best ending, I got The Love That Remains, which is just honestly a guy floating in the sea. I'm not even spoiling anything with that.
Yeah.
I just thought that was a stellar ending, and I am going to go a bit in the meta route with It Ends picking as best ending.
Yeah.
Really like that one.
A really good ending, yeah. Agree.
How about best look, which honestly, I don't really know what you meant by it. I figured it was cinematography.
I specifically didn't say cinematography because it could be, you know, just the look of it as well. Just like, you know, maybe a lot of nature, which I see in one of your picks, although the cinematography is really strong in Train Dreams. Honestly, that's an honorable mention for me as well. We both have Resurrection on here, and I'm so happy that both of us got to see it on the big screen as well. Really, really special. And
so many
I'll show you the seat I was sitting in, Kevin, in Sala d'Arsena to watch this one. I can show you this year.
Sala d'Arsena?
Sala d'Arsena. Sorry, not fuck me. Debussy. So I have my D's all tangled up. Debussy and d'Arsena.
I've been plenty of times in d'Arsena, boy.
Yeah. But yeah, I always go onto the terrace in d'Arsena. We'll see. In Debussy, we'll see if you like it too. But anyways, Resurrection, great film. And it's going to be streaming on Criterion, I think, on the 24th or something like that. And it should be out on VOD, but I couldn't find it on VOD yet. So hopefully it will, like, I don't know if it's only available in VOD in some places, but definitely once it is on streaming on Criterion, we will cover it either next week or the week after. I also have The Love That Remains. I think that movie, it was also, I watched that one in the bussy towards the left side of the theater. Actually pretty full crowd as well. But yeah, that one was quite stunning to look at. I really like the montages and sort of the stillness of the camera and just like letting things unfold as well in front of the frame. Really, really beautiful, like not just for the cinematography, but also the scenery. So that's why like I went with best look here. But yeah, what about you?
I mean, you spoiled one of mine, which is Train Dreams, and Resurrection as well. By the way, I want Train Dreams to win some cinematography, but I know that's not going to happen because One Battle After Another and Sinners. But
yeah, I think One Battle After Another has won like all of the guilds leading up, so it's very likely that actually one battle wins over Sinners, which is odd because I feel like they are more on par than they are apart. But
And I also have Wake Up Dead Man. And again, the thing that Ryan Johnson does in Wake Up Dead Man with the sunlight, but also just the plastic red and blue thing, taping it before the camera, is such a great thing of filmmaking to see on the behind the scenes with. So yeah, that's my best look. So we watched a bunch of movies you did more than me, to be honest.
You meant Rewatch? Yeah, a couple of films.
Rewatch.
Yeah, Rewatch for this episode. Honestly felt like for a lot of them I was secure. Like for a moment I was thinking, should I rewatch Frankenstein? I haven't finished the novel yet, so I was like, no, I'll wait. I wanted to finish that before The Bride, and it's just like, too many books, always too many books. But The Secret Agent was my biggest markup, so it would be wrong to have that not on this list. And I think that's a movie that really clicks once you are more familiar with it, so you unlock another layer of deepness. Not because everyone else around you has been saying how great it is, and it got 2 awards in Cannes. That really for a long time was like, no, I liked it, I didn't love it, and I didn't really seek it out. But once I rewatched it and let it pour all over me again, I was like, oh yeah, no, this is actually going the distance. And that and Sinners. I think Sinners I liked a bit more on the rewatch. I could also mention Sorry Baby here. I liked that even more, but it didn't really change my rating drastically. But with A Secret Agent, I went up from 3.5 or a 3 to a 4.5. So it was a huge jump.
I normally rewatch my favorite movies of the year way more. I remember seeing Everything Everywhere All at Once 4 times that year. My favorite movies of the year, I usually rewatch a bunch of times. 3 times normally, Banshees of Inisherin. I remember that watching many times. I didn't have that very much this year. And again, I think this year has been a great year in terms of quality and the quantity of things, but it hadn't really topped the highs of any of the last years for me. But there was one movie that I loved in the beginning of the year, and I saw everybody clowning on it throughout the years, why is that so high? And it's oh god, am I wrong? And then I put on Black Bag again. I was I'm hoping it delivers again. And from the first minute, I was just back in. I just remembered. I know why that is my number 3 of this year, and I stand by it. Black Bag was my best rewatch of this year. That I did watch with my dad as well. So yeah.
Mm-hmm. And then when it comes to individual moments or maybe individual scenes, was there a favorite? What were some of your favorites of this year?
I wrote down a bunch.
Oh, I can see. Maybe you can go over them briefly. Just mention them. Because there's, oh my god, there's so much.
With Life of Chuck, there were 2 scenes naturally. You had the dance and you had Matthew Lillard's monologue that is also in my montage. And I have to go with Matthew Lillard just stealing that scene. Just like John Carroll Lynch is stealing that scene in Sorry Baby. I feel like mentioning them both together. And then we have Resurrection. You honestly could pick, again, many moments in this movie, but I am going with the oneer. Also, I wrote a thesis on it, but the oneer with the whole red sky and all that.
You didn't write a thesis on this, maybe for context for people. You wrote a thesis on one takes, not
on
the Oneer and Resurrection.
No.
I wish you had. That would be very interesting.
Then I have no other choice. The blasting speaker scene. That scene alone almost got a standing ovation at Venice. People were clapping regardless of it. Then we have One Battle After Another. The car chase in those hills is just, chef's kiss. You can also pick any of the monologues in She Taught Me Serendipity, but I will go for the middle one, the one where she's standing in that street and she's going through all the insecurities, but also confessing in love, and it is so well done. You said Hamlet for best ending. I picked it for the best scene because, let's be honest, it's the moment of the entire movie, and where almost all of the Oscar campaign is also built upon. I'm mentioning All Is Summer, All Is Concert from Ann Lee. That ship sequence was amazing to watch in theaters, even if I did not understand a damn thing of it. And then I have The Left-Handed Girl, because if you think your birthday ever is miserable, then watch The Left-Handed Girl. You'll see a more miserable birthday there.
Yeah. Did you
How
mention?
About you?
Yeah, you said the sandwich scene, right, from Sorry Baby.
Yeah.
You did. Yeah. No, that one's great. Honestly, I think for no other choice, it's just like the whole movie. To me, it's like it's a never-ending scene. But it's hard for me to pick a favorite. But it definitely was the outstanding one that resonated with the most people. Honestly, there's the one scene in Surat as well that like had a huge response in Cannes when I watched it with an audience, and then we showed it a couple of times in our theater. I showed it twice. I was the operator doing it, and every time like a big scene happened, the big scene. I don't want to spoil it for people because I think that's not one that everyone has seen. I like peered into the audience room and was looking, and both the times no one reacted. Or like one was like, "Oh, what the fuck?" And that was all. I was like, "Guys, what are we doing here, man?" And then I was like, "Oh my god, going to the festivals is so special. It is so special because people have like way more held back, or they're being annoying in cinemas. But there's rarely like the in between for these, especially for these art house movies, for these festival movies where people have these big responses to it. That is the value of a festival. And one moment that comes the closest to like." Hold up, everyone like leaning forward, getting fucking chills all over their body is in I Lie to You. Miles Canton's voice. Oh my god. Like I'm literally, oh fuck, now I don't want to fuck it up. Who was it? I think it was Stack. Yeah, it's Stack that looks at him in the car when he first sings. And I was like, whoa, what the hell? That moment.
Yeah, boy. Yeah, no.
We're gonna make some money. And damn, did it make some money? Damn, did it resonate? And damn, would I not be mad if it wins Best Picture? But the other moment I have that was like going for that movie moment of the year, it's just like the visual language of that chase scene going up and down the hills is just so brilliant. Like, how do you even find that? Like, it's so perfect for that moment. And like the ups and downs of uncertainty, like so many things that it represents on these characters' journeys. And like, oh, it's so good. It's really good. It works just as a god fucking good chase scene, but also visually, but also on a narrative level. It just like has everything. And then to me, probably my favorite one that like on the both. No, actually, I think I've seen Sentimental Value maybe even 3 times now. I have actually. Yeah, I watched it in Cannes. I rewatched it in. Did I rewatch it? I think I rewatched it in Locarno. And then I did watch it on VOD it again. But I think that moment between Nora and Agnes, Nora being the one played by Renate Reinsve, and Agnes the one by Inga Ipsdotter Elias. Fuck, I'm fucking up her name. I'm so sorry. But that moment where she goes like, "I had you," I had you. Like that back and forth. I have the whole quote written out here, but I'm not going to, I guess, read the whole scene out. Here we go. No, I'm kidding. But it's just really, really good. It's just like so moving. It is. Every time I watched it, all 3 times I cried at that scene. It was so emotional. And really one aspect this movie all centers around. So yeah, man. I think we discussed this before that like for me to resonate with a movie like enough that it is one of my favorites of the year, it does need to have that like really, really moving scene for me. And Sinners and One Battle After Another are more like spectacle, but Sentimental Value has a like emotional moment for me. That's one of the reasons why it is my favorite movie of the year.
The reason that I didn't click with it is you do have that reaction coming out of Cannes, and it's like my expectations are so high.
Yeah.
And maybe I should have rewatched it, but I don't think the rewatch would have done much, if I'm being honest. I guess only time will tell.
Well, speaking of the time, the 365 days to 525,600 minutes is how long a year is. And we are wondering who of, the people going around this film sphere has had the best year. And for me, it's like, obviously, it's Josh O'Connor, right? Is there even like debate for someone else who has had Wake Up Dead Man, Rebuilding, then a bit lesser watch The Mastermind, and also even less, I think, still coming out even in 2026 in some places, I don't know, is History of Sound, which he was good in, but I think the first 3 are definitely like the ones where it felt like there was a stranglehold that he had over us this whole year, and I did not mind to be strangled by Josh O'Connor, So... Sorry, I phrased that weird. And he also has a big year coming up with Disclosure Day, Jack of Spades, Dark Matter, and Three Incestuous Sisters. The latter 2, I don't know if they'll release in 2026, but still, a very promising young actor with fun, creative relationships that he's fostering. But did you have?
That was so
That's
funny.
a sign.
That was so funny.
But did you have anyone else who could rival him maybe?
I mean, John McGarrow, in whatever movie he pops up in, is always like one of the MVPs, and I feel like he had 4 movies out this year as well, man. I mean, he had Omaha, which is like a film festival movie, actually releases this year, I guess. He was great in Curlin 75. He had a little part in The Mastermind, so I guess we have some overlap going on there as well. And he was in The Materialist. So he's definitely dedicated to Celine's song After Past Lives as well.
I think that for me the difference is just like that it's very supporting. Only
The quality.
in Omaha. Yeah, but just I felt like who's had the best, who was the most present. Was like I feel like I don't know. It's on a different level there with like the type of performances he gives, but not the quality.
Yeah. And then I guess 2 other people I want to shout out is Elle Fanning, being in such a little role, but very vital part in Sentimental Value. And also leading a Predator movie, Predator Badlands. I feel like that's a pretty good year for you.
Yeah.
And Louis Pullman, I thought he was also very good in Testament of Anne Lee. And he was the highlight of Thunderbolts for me as well.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess those are like the smaller people. I mean, like, they're still big actors, but yeah, I guess those are the people that I want to shout out.
Mm-hmm. And I guess, selected these categories. I don't know if you've on the fly something to add, or if there's something else that you wanted to mention about like this year in film.
This year had a very rough start, and I think 2026 also had a bit of a rough start. And I just purely think, again, that is based on a movie season being from March to next year's March. Like, it is not in the year itself almost. Like, it's always January, February, and now because the Oscars are like in March, even like March, we're always talking about the films from 2025. I mean, how many times have you heard the Best Picture winners, One Battle After Another, Sinners, Hamlet? Like, how many times have you heard about these movies the last few months? More than any other 2026 release, in my opinion. The year started out pretty rough. Also, perhaps because of the writer's strike and like COVID again, like being very close upon each other, you definitely felt like, oh, we are saving some of the big movies for 2026. And I feel like after the Oscars, 2026 is ramping up to be one of the biggest movie years, probably maybe even since 2019.
We discussed it in our preview as well, right? That there's a potential for so many billion-dollar movies, but also a lot of like auteurs and filmmakers who've earned their paycheck for their budgets to just do whatever they want to, and we get a ton of that within franchises like with Dune, but also someone like Joel Coen hopefully delivering, or like so many people. I think even Lynn Ramsey might have like another movie pretty ready, like that still comes out.
She's crazy.
Year. I don't know anything about that, but just like, I'm pumped to whatever we get. I'm sure it will be great. And I also really liked this year. Like, I think what I don't really like to do is compare the years that much of like how quality wise it was, because it feels like that's coming down to similar-ish Oscar talk, then it becomes about the statistics thing of like a year in a way, which I'm way more interested in these individual movies and what I took away from them. But I think it's fair to obviously compare and hope that like a year is overall, years worth of movies is like topping whatever came before as well. But
I mean, I think it's the same with wine. You have really good years of wine with like a lot of rain coming down, and then you have, vineyards that are like broken up because of the amount of rain. So like it is very vital. Like you have a lot of impact on the movies that come out of that year as well. And I think you have to take those factors in. And 2024 was really good. 2023 was really good. But then you had the writer's strike. I don't do that with like the Oscars. I don't have, these were the 10 best movies of this year that qualify, that like, define the entire year. That's not my intention. I'm just looking at this year. We had a lot of great quantity, perhaps not the greatest quality movies as the previous year before it. I just think that's my way of thinking.
Yeah. No, I totally understand that, but yeah. maybe we just differ about like, how we evaluate the year, but which is totally fine. I think that's interesting. Anyways, that concludes our coverage from 2025. Much like the Oscars, it will end this week. We're done.
We will do a Oscars like little video, I guess, Monday.
That will go up Monday, a bit of a reaction to the results. We won't do like a full-on like watch-along party and everything. You do that on your own, but I think it won't be like something where we, have the whole broadcast recut and everything. I'm honestly, I might even not be watching it because I'm like, I'd rather sleep. Honestly, I'm getting up in age. I'm too old. I'm getting too old for this shit.
Shit, you made the joke before me. What the fuck?
There you go. Anyways.
But again, like after the Oscars, we don't need to be reminded anymore of 2025.
Other than these movies that we caught in 2025 that get a release date in 2026 that we want to highlight. Yeah, like Resurrection, like Omaha, films like that. So we do have a bit of an update for you when it comes to this show. You might have noticed at the runtime of this, how is the Quiet on Set podcast not 3 hours long? What the fuck? That's crazy. Not 2.5 hours long. Not even 2 hours, I think. Hopefully. We'll see. We are making some changes to the show, which means that, the way that we went about it, we have a bit of news to talk about. We have our main reviews, sometimes a bunch of spotlights. Then we also talk about what we have watched individually. And then we watch an international film each year, world cinema, each year now. For some of the Academy members, for the SAG members, it's once a year. They get one movie. That's the dose. But us, it's weekly, at least one that we talk about. And that, I think, has just become too much in the short lifespan of this new iteration of the podcast, where it just bloats the weekly episodes too much. And we've discussed this for a couple of weeks, and we are going to split it into a new show that is, still in the spirit of World Cinema Spotlight, but we are calling it the 2.54 centimeter barrier, in reference to Bong Joon-ho's The 1-Inch Barrier, when he was, his infamous quote at the Golden Globes that is keeping us from so many great movies, that 1-inch tall barrier. And if you convert that to the more valuable, he was talking to an American audience. So it makes sense he's using the imperial, we here are from the Europe, Belgium, Switzerland. We use the metric system. So it's only fair for us to adjust that. Long justification for that show. But the way that it's going to work, that it's going to have a new episode out every Thursday, and it will go on the same way that it did before, where I pick a movie, and then Kevin picks a movie, and we go back and forth. We explore the filmographies of Johnny To and many other filmmakers in that podcast, and I could not be more pumped. It's like it's very exciting, right?
Yeah,
it's not a huge change. I think it just like lets us focus on one thing singularly, and should hopefully keep some of our runtimes a bit more attractive to new viewers who click on those shows and are like not even seeing in the title that we are mentioning at some point a Johnny To film, right? It's a bit more hopefully easily to consume.
And we will also continue to clip those podcasts as well into like smaller videos as well.
Yeah, it really remains to be seen how much around these films we are talking about outside of the review, or if like that is already feeling like a clipped review, so it doesn't need to be. We'll have to wait and see. This show, though, we will definitely keep like clipping into its little segments. But speaking of those little segments, in Spotlights, I think I sometimes have so much to talk about that it feels wrong to not mention it, especially if I get screeners for it, and there's a sort of expectation that I do review these things so I get access to them in the future too. And I think instead of like rattling through or maybe trying to make it a bit more interactive, where I say like, Kevin, ask me a question about this, and they're like, that's already good, and we're going to keep doing that for whatever Kevin has seen that I watched this week. He can ask me about it, but I'm not going to mention all of the things. I'm going to produce a little separate video each Monday that goes over everything I watched in a week, old and new, to give you a bit of an overview, because it's so much that I think that makes sense. And with Kevin, we'll kind of keep it the same. I'll also ask you, but you are free to like rattle on a bit longer than I do. I think like we sort of have to find the balance that hopefully is fun to listen to as well, because it feels like it always has sort of with Lachlan even more, because he was watching sometimes only the movie of the week and I had so much more to talk about. I think that imbalance is always going to be there, so we'll try something else out to hopefully make that work. And
that way you can also talk about all the slop that you watch.
Yeah, and I'll slop it up for you in a good little tray and feed it all to you on Monday morning. Isn't that nice? But the last also this means like maybe you've noticed the way that the show releases is sometimes on Monday, but the goal is really that we release on Saturday and Sunday. There's no fixed date for the podcast, but we have a Thursday release with the 2.454 rolls off the tongue.
I would say 2.54 centimeter by
no, it's if you wouldn't say 54. I think you would say 54. I guess we disagree on that, and that's one of the debates that you can expect on that podcast. That comes out Thursdays. Then this podcast comes out on the weekend on Saturday and Sunday. But every other week we actually have something new in store. Every other Tuesday, a new show that Kevin, because it's your idea, it's your child, and it's going to be you more in the. I'll also be joining that almost by week, every other week, but it is your idea, so
this is a big announcement, guys. We have a new show, a new series that we are announcing today. It's a project called Cinematic Doppelgängers. The synopsis of that show and series is that every week we will talk about movies that share the same title but have nothing else in common. So movies that are based upon the same source material or are like, for example, like Wuthering Heights. We're not going to talk about Wuthering Heights. The only thing these movies share in common, purely coincidentally, only the title. And we are going to do this probably not next week, but the week after.
Yep.
That's when episode 1 will come out. And the first episode is going to be The Killer. We will talk about 3 The Killer movies. We have the John Woo movie from, I believe, 1989. We have the 2022 South Korean version, I think, The Killer. And then we have David Fincher's The Killer. So the format of that show is we're quickly going to talk about each movie. Then we are perhaps going to debate those movies, like who is the best killer, for example, like which movie deserves the title the most. And we will pick a winner at the end. And then we will have to rename the other movies. Or sometimes sometimes it might just be 2 movies we're comparing, sometimes 3, sometimes maybe even 4.
With The Killer, it could be volume 1, because I feel like there's probably like sometimes there's like 20 plus movies with the name like Mother or something like that. So we'll make a selection. It's just honestly,
we're gonna make a selection.
Surprised how much there is of this, right?
I made a long list and that I surprised Ewan with, and it's like, wait, what? You can also leave suggestions down below for movies that I might have missed. If you want to be part of the series and the show, feel free to send a message our way as well. I'm going to be the host of that show, and Ewan is going to join me. But if anyone else wants to join me, like I've already asked some other people, feel free to send me a message. Looking forward to a new chapter of The Quiet on Set with obviously now the podcast, the 2.54 centimeter barrier. I will join you there. We have the what we've watched or what I've watched segment, and now we also have Cinematic Doppelgängers. It is a very scary but exciting chapter we're going into with Quiet on Set.
It's like it to me, it's like, it's not that much more. I think we are hopefully finding the balance, but we've noticed that, like, doing a show that's an hour long or maybe an hour 20 from what I was used to regularly having 2.5 hours or more. It is with how much else I'm doing just to earn a bit of an income. It is getting a bit much. So I think splitting it up, sort of focusing in instead of extending our focus is a smart choice. And hopefully you'll join along. So definitely subscribe if you aren't already. Kevin, it is time for horny movie time with trauma. Let's review reminders of.
That intro caught me off guard.
Let's talk about reminders of him. When Diem's custodial grandparents adamantly refuse Kenna's attempts to see her daughter, Kenna discovers unexpected compassion and then something truer and deeper with former NFL player and local bar owner Ledger. As their secret romance develops, so do the dangers for both of them, leading Kenna toward heartbreak and, ultimately, the hope for a second chance. That is the novel adaptation of Colleen Hoover's novel of the same name, Reminders of Him, that came out in 2022. Now we got a movie directed by Vanessa Caswell, but also produced by Colleen Hoover. In the main role, we got Micah Monroe as Kenna, and then opposite her is Tarek Withers, who is the I was about to say bromance, but they're not bros, but he's romancing his best friend's ex-girlfriend. I read the synopsis. I read the book. You haven't. This is also the first time you are watching one of these adaptations. I've seen It Ends With Us. I've seen, what was the other one called, where there was like cheating as well, and there was also a car crash, and there were like two couples, and what was the other one called? Regretting You.
I'll look for you, bro.
And there's another, Regretting You is the movie. Then this year we also got Verite with Dakota Johnson and Hathaway, and Josh Hartnett. I'm just wondering, like, what's your impression of, like, how messy does it come off? Like, does it make any sense? Because to me it makes sense. I read the book. I know where it's going. But how coherent is it to you? You know? As a Colleen Hoover virgin is what I would describe you as.
So, whenever someone asks me what is my least favorite genre, I usually say romance. But hey, there are romance movies in the past lives, fucking incredible, right?
Mm-hmm.
But when I mean romance, it's these type of movies, these schmaltzy, cheesy movies. Like, these are the type of movies that I just do not care for. I am not the main audience for these movies, and like, it just cringed me the fuck out. At a certain point in this movie, I was just watching this movie on autopilot, because it's just like, I do not care about this. There's almost no dramatic counterweight to this. It's just building up to this, we are going to get closer because our best friend died, and it's like, I do not care about this movie. And there are so many more things I'm interested in, but they are happening off screen. She's got a restraining order. Huh? What? I would have loved to see the conversation the parents would have, maybe behind the scenes, or like behind her back, that she does not know of, but that we do know of. But I guess there also have been many movies about this sort of topic of, like, a mom or someone is coming back for the custody of their child, and they're fighting the grandparents or the custodian of that child at the time. And I guess we have seen this version of this movie quite a few times, and now we're focusing more on Micah Monroe and Tarek Withers.
Mm-hmm.
But I just do not care, man. Yeah.
I mean, there are some notable differences from the novel that I think are relevant for this adaptation. One of them, the biggest one, being that, like, obviously the internal dialogue in a novel is always the trickiest thing to resolve. Do you have them sort of tell it to someone else so we can also hear it as the audience? Do you read out the letters? Is there voiceover narration? Like, how are you going to go about this? And I think in this, right, they do use voiceover narration for a bit of it, but it's not
sometimes.
a ton. It's not a ton. And in the novel, the difference is that we get both her perspective, but also his perspective, like his internal thoughts. And also, one of the inciting incidents is, like, they're about to make out in his, like, truck, in the orange truck that's very recognizable. And in the novel, they do make out, and she afterwards realizes that it's she only afterwards realized. And he or she, like, it's very clumsy in the scene, because I was like, wait, what is she noticing? And she noticed that, and before we realized, oh, this is what's happening. And I think it wants to clean up this version of it quite a bit, because they are involved with each other, like, way earlier in the novel, and it makes the whole thing like they are longing for each other. They are so horny back and forth. It is crazy. And here it's like, it's keeping it very clean. It's keeping it very PG. There's not that many sex scenes. Like in the novel, there's quite a few, like, actually pretty explicit, something I guess Colleen Hoover is known for, like the spicy moments that feel like they are more left out. And also the context of what happened and what she did and why people are so mad at her is given way earlier. And then we build up to a moment, like, I think this is safe to say, like, whoever cares for this has seen this movie, so we can talk about it in spoilers. Other people who are not going to see it are just going to have fun of us, like, shitting on the film, or like, usually, honestly, I think it's okay. I didn't hate the film. And it, like, leads up to the reveal that she, like, crashed the car and then left, and people perceive it to be like her in the state of, like, not having cared for the guy, and sort of this eroded conversation of not knowing other people's feelings is like bringing all of this trauma about instead of figuring it out through that trauma together. And I think the whole movie is like building towards finding that empathy that like we all share the same trauma for something traumatic that happened, and not like taking that away from someone else. And I honestly, in the last few chapters of the book, where there is a moment where they read out her letter that she wrote about like this sort of self-hatred and what she wants, I was sitting in this chair listening to the audiobook, and I was like crying. I like, it was really moving. Maybe it's also the audio performance of it all. Nowhere near close in this movie, but like the way that it's like goes about in a novel, I think was quite moving, and I didn't feel that 100% in this version, because it's like it feels so abbreviated when we get the information that we have to, like, it almost doesn't give us the time for us to also hate this character and her actions. It immediately wants to like take it back and say like, no, actually this is the reason why she did things. Like it leaves you a bit of space in between there, but not a ton, right? Where we like get her whole like play out of the scene. But also I think a lot of people are just going to be caught up of like, hold up, your boyfriend died, who you had a kid with, didn't know, gave birth in prison, could never touch the baby, and are not trying to rekindle that relationship somehow, but then you end up not by choice but just by coincidence in a way, a very porn plot-esque level of like, you know, coincidences, starting a relationship with his best friend. They also don't make that much of a point like for the reasons why his character wasn't there, like with the NFL and all. Like that is way more of an emphasis in this movie than it is in the book. They're just like they were just talking about that he was never around. I don't know if they explicitly like say that it's all of the NFL stuff, and like his guilt is like differently portrayed there, but I think it's fine. I think like I've seen way worse romance films.
Same.
So it did, like I think it's also Micah Monroe who does like, you know, pretty well with this material. I think you can't really do much better with what you're given. But yeah, it has some odd moments in between, like how over dramatic certain things feel, which are warranted, but then, you know, like the way that they interact, I think these characters like make sense the way that they act, but like the setup for all of these things is like so heightened. But yeah, I assume you don't have much else to say about the film, right? Because there's nothing more outstanding about it, like visually or presentation wise or anything.
What I will say though is, you know what this movie made me feel? This movie made me feel a whole other level of unemployment, because I watched this movie on a Thursday noon with 3 other people in the theater, and I think like one of them was a couple that was sitting in like the last row, and I was honestly laughing at some of the moments, especially when slow motion was used. Oh my god, dude! Whenever slow motion was used, I was honestly, I had to hold in my laugh to not like even disrupt the other 3 people in the theater, as you should. This whole story could have been fixed with better communication and better infrastructure. That's it. The moment they drive up to that to his house, right? The house that he's like building for himself with all his NFL money, I was like, this is the worst road to drive on. And then, funnily enough, it's the road where they crash on, and it's like, I'm not even surprised.
Yeah.
And then you got that fucking pigeon ending that I'm just eye rolling.
It is.
My eyeballs on
rough.
So hard.
It is pretty rough in this, yeah.
And like all the dramatic counterweight. Also, some of these, like, you know how the, like on social media sometimes you have like, oh my god, you're vague posting. This movie has the definition of some vague posting. For example, when Tyreek Withers is in that bar, and he's like, oh yeah, I just met her. And then you have his friend being like, oh yeah, but, you know, she's in a gray zone. And you helped me out of a gray zone as well once. It's like, bro, oh, you're not gonna, okay, cool. And I guess, you know, oh, why would they say that to each other? Like, you're asking for, like, the thing that streaming services do where they reiterate the plot. No, I'm just asking for a normal conversation to be held.
Yeah.
Of like, hey, like maybe like a bit, like not even like them, like they're like past of the gray zone, but like maybe just talking a bit more about having empathy, being in her shoes. That type of conversation would perhaps be interesting. Also because Michael Monroe's character is a convict, so we also barely see any of the like how she dealt with her feelings in prison. We only see one scene when her breast is obviously leaking milk, and then you got one of the other prisoners that is like sort of helping her in. Then you got the parents that are clearly trying to do everything to not show the child, even though when Micah Monroe has a cell phone, I feel like Tyreek Withers has posted her daughter on social media before. Why is that never? Like, she doesn't try to look up her own daughter or like people to see photos of her. Like, how does she look? But I guess then we can never get that video. It's like, this movie is just not for me, man. This movie is for 16-year-olds, 14-year-old girls, and I'm totally okay with it.
Yeah, I mean, maybe it's like, you know, a bit of a cleanup of what the novel is, but it is, to me, like, some of the issues that I have with it is that it is never feeling like this romance is, there's no stakes. Like, I think that's what you're describing around it. It is,
yeah, also.
It's all circumstantial, nothing about like their character. It's always like, it's almost like it is a romance by a plot level, not on an emotional level. And then it has these big emotional moments that feel like they are fueled by plot moments of like getting to see something, and like that is like it's a cause effect, but like on a very surface level way of like how people like the in the novel. I think in here it's not as emphasized, but he's described as like the perfect boy and everything, and like how much she took away from that family because the perfect only boy that they've had. And I think the gratitude that she has towards them, like taking care of her, so she's not even mad at them for what they've did and kept her away. I think that is something that is like, to me, was like the best thing about this, because it like somewhat, it doesn't do it as cleanly in this, but it communicates the sort of self-hatred she has for herself, for what she did, what she didn't do, what she wants to be, but then also not. But like, it contains multitudes because you're loading it up so much, but it's not really possible to do much with it because it wants to be constrained to ultimately be about that romance that also involves the kid of like, you know. So it's okay. We both gave it a 5 out of 10.
Do you want to quickly talk about Micah Monroe and Tyreek Withers? Because yeah, I've talked about Tyreek Withers being like this generation's Shy Courtney, in the sense of like he's popping up in a lot of shit at the moment.
He hasn't had a lot of roles yet, right? He's like started acting in 2019 in like shorts and series, and then he was in 2 movies last year, with one that he led and one that he was like a co-star in I Know What You Did Last Summer, and he also did Him. Both movies that were pretty ass overall. They were not good, but he at least has a sort of cinematic presence that is good. And to me, he sort of built up a reputation of not his work, but his like presence that I feel like works well. That like I can see him in more things that would make sense for him, but he actually hasn't been in a ton of things yet.
No, but I'm looking forward to whenever he is gonna pop up in good project, because again, so far, Reminders of Him is the best thing that I've seen him in, and I've not seen him yet. And then you got Micah Monroe, which is I believe she's trying to get out of the stereotype casting of being in a horror movie, unless the project is really like drawing her in. Obviously, with Long Legs, I feel like that was the last one. But you also got 100 Nights of Hero, which we saw last in this sort of, sci-fi fantasy romance movie. Then you got In Cold Light, which I haven't seen but recently popped up on VOD, which is the sort of actioner. So I do feel she wants to get out of the claws of horror and not be stereotype casted in it, but she has the perfect face for it, and whenever she is in one of those horror movies, she always fits the mold of that movie. So I do think it's a strength, but I do think she also wants to get out of it, and by doing something like Reminds of Him, she's trying that, and I don't know if it's fully working for me, because she still had that stoic face sometimes. And I'm like,
Yeah, I mean, the way that this has nothing to do with Micah and how she looks on screen or whatever, but the way that they describe it in the novel was so much about like that they describe how hot they are, and I think that like obviously fits her as well, but she also has that face for like you say, for horror, like that sort of role. But I am curious to see what she's doing next. Like she also did last year that like The Hand That Rocks the Cradle remake that I've watched. It really was okay-ish. Like her part didn't work for me that well either. I think she's good in 100 Nights of Hero, but also nothing really that outstanding. What she'll do, like if they do They Follow at one point, which
yeah, they will.
And they will. Yeah, exactly. And like that was 12 years ago, right? So she's been around longer than I've sort of had her at the forefront of like knowing that is Micah Monroe in a movie. It was like, oh, that's like an indie movie. Like I haven't seen The Watcher, for example, but she was in like Hot Summer Night. She was in The Guest. She was in The Fifth Wave. Like she has a ton of like smaller parts where she was shining more was in the lead roles in these horror movies, or like in a more lead-ish role. We'll have to wait and see what sort of.
I'm looking at the projects she's got lined up. Victorian Psycho, Zachary Wygon's newest film, who directed Sanctuary. We also have Place to Be with Ellen Burstyn, Taika Waititi.
That's the movie. That's the book I showed you the other day.
We also have Vegas, a love story with Brandon Skinner, Paul Dano, Judy Greer, Michael Shannon. Okay, from the director of The White Tiger, 99 Homes. Okay. And Blood Covenant, Joe Keery, Micah Monroe. That looked like being on the horror movie, but meh, right? So she's got things lined up both inside and outside of horror. She's a very interesting actress to follow, though, I must say. And Tyreek Withers, I will follow as well for sure. I do believe he was in like the top 25 youngest actors to watch. I don't know which outlet does that, but I'm keen to see him. He has a very good cinematic presence again.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I think I don't really have much else to say other than that. What I sort of so far have noticed from Colleen Hoover films is that it's a mashup of trauma and sex, and not that they would intersect, but like people with deep trauma, also sometimes cheating, but they always like hook up in some sort of way. I also had a look through some of her other books because I was wondering how much of her stuff has been adapted versus not adapted yet, or like are we already running dry? Because like if you get a movie 2024, 2025, and 2 in 2026, like how many more has she left before she needs to go? And she used to like write almost a book, if not more than a book a year, and then it took her. She has a new one coming out this year, or that is already out. I don't know if it's coming out this year later, called Woman Down. But then this Reminders of Him was the last one she wrote in 2022. So, or maybe Regretting You. I think it's Reminders of Him that was the last one she wrote in 2022. She has a bunch of like other books that haven't been adapted yet, but seemingly she is taking more of like a producer role in all of these adaptations and slowing down some of her writing. I don't know how many of her other books are like popular enough to also be adapted into stories, but so far I think they've, done pretty well, and like they attract a pretty like big cast usually. The movies aren't good, any of them. Really, like I wouldn't say that It Ends With Us is good. I wouldn't say
Is this the best one?
This is the best one of them so far, I'd say, yeah.
I mean, she'll get another shot later this year with Verity.
Which I think is a worse book than Reminders of Him, but we'll see.
I mean, Dakota Johnson, Anne Hathaway, Josh Hartnett, and it's from the director of The Big Sick, but also The Idea of You. Also that Tammy Faye movie, The Lovebird. So
the thing is, Verite is like something that I've seen at least 3 other movies do, that exact like sort of story. Very similar story beats. So I don't know how.
So what's the different angle?
The angle is that like Verite is like that's the name of the character that Anne Hathaway plays. She's in a coma after a car crash, and she's an accomplished writer. And Dakota Johnson plays a character who is not also a writer, but not like that successful. Has published a couple of novels and is then asked to continue on as a like ghostwriter to continue the series. And the husband is Josh Hartnett. Is it Hartnett or Hartnett? I'm never sure. I'm not sure. For basically the whole movie, Anne Hathaway is in a coma. She's like in a coma, and like I can't spoil what the specifics around that. It would be that's what the whole story is about. But it's like slowly uncovering that relationship. But then also Dakota Johnson like fucking with Josh Hartnett, like them flirting.
Oh, of course. of course.
I don't
So,
like it's very same story beat again and again, sort of building on attention. Once again, there's nothing much around it, similar to like Reminders of Him, and I think that movie has a few more things going for it.
So you're gonna tell me that Anne Hathaway is probably gonna sleep throughout that movie?
Yeah, I don't know how they'll do that
She's
because
like,
like
oh
she has a couple of moments. Obviously, there's flashbacks, so she'll have scenes.
Yeah,
for
I
acting,
figured.
but there's a ton of flashback because they do like her writing certain things, and then it's like very much this movie. I won't say more than that, but it's built around a pretty big twist. No, actually, that might be a spoiler, but like there's more than one twist actually. So it's
Oh my god.
yeah,
It's an M. Night Shyamalan movie.
low key. Some parts of it like do have that vibe, but
Oh.
But yeah, I don't know. I just don't like the Reminders of Him, like the cliche of the new partner that is all too perfect. I think that is like such a trademark for the romance genre that sometimes it's like upended by like someone then maybe not being perfect at all and like truly evil. Like it goes these extremes that I think are not really that interesting to explore. And when we do have a good romance movie, it is because it is a representation of the complexities of people that are trying to like find romance in with each other.
What do you think about the name Diem?
I cringed at that a lot because it's Carpe Diem, seize the day, and it's very cringy. It's a lot of it is very like also the audiobook, and a lot of it is incredibly cringy to listen through because the verbalizations is like they're like you said, the sort of 14-year-old energy. A lot of it is like when you listen to it, it seems like someone's going like that sort of intensity of like just wanting to get a thought out really badly. It's like, oh, emotion. It's like, it's a bit odd.
Also, one final thing I will say about this movie: she's going to the motel or the place, paradise, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so, oh yeah, and here's the kitten. But she takes the kitten. Again, a kitten needs food, so you're paying extra for cat food, and you're
no, she's not billed for something else. Then that's the deal. She's not paying. What? I think she's not paying for amenities. I think that's why.
Oh,
that's why it actually is like because later on, like one like the. Someone else is like lower my electricity bill or something like that. It's like you gotta pay. You didn't take a kitten or something.
Yeah,
like
but it's also like you're taking the kitten, but now you need litter, now you need cat food, and like I feel like that's a bit more than the electricity bill, but whatever.
Yeah, it's that part is very goofy in the book as well. It's odd.
Oh my god, he got an ukulele at the Mother's Day party. I don't care, bro.
That part is I think not in the book. That whole like romance thing with those two is something added.
Figured.
It's also we didn't talk about Princess at all, which I found like in the book as well. Also an odd inclusion.
Who?
Princess, like the girl with the Down syndrome.
Oh, her, yeah. I'm not gonna lie, I could only think about she and Julie's monologue about people with Down syndrome.
Yeah, I don't know. No, I haven't seen that, but it's like it's odd that I don't know. It's an interesting choice to like include her, to have someone on her side, because I feel like she already has that at the store with someone, so it feels like somewhat redundant. Yeah. So it's just like I don't know. I don't know.
She also works at the store, so
I think that like expansion of that character is also something that I don't remember from the novel. Maybe it was in there, but it wasn't as like because I did see that they were doing promotions with that coworker because she's Southern, and they wanted to have someone from there to actually talk about like for the promotion of this film. So I think they like interviewed her a bunch. I saw like a featurette, and I was like, "Who is that character?" I don't remember that at all. But yeah.
Anyway, 5 out of 10.
5 out of 10.
Don't send me to another Colleen Hoover film in the future, please.
Yeah, I was surprised that he actually went because I was like, "Oh, I didn't even know if you're watching it," and then you went to see it. So props to you.
Spotlights. So I did a little quick catch up for our updated list. I watched Redux Redux, which was a sci-fi movie. And the reason that I watched this is that every year, oftentimes there's like a little sci-fi movie that pops up in my top 25, like in my best of year list. And I watched it and I was like, ooh, is this my Rustic Films, which is the production house of Benson and Moorhead? And it wasn't, but I saw 3.4, and I love these low-rated movies. That's like, oh, maybe it's a hidden gem. And I really dug Redux Redux. It's not perfect, but it's a small little movie. And I wondered, like, is there a Rustic Films movie coming out this year? And I did pop up on Ideation, which is a new movie from James Ward Burkitt, who directed Coherence. Apparently, it should come out this year, and he's from the production studio of Rustic Films, of Benson and Moorhead.
Yeah.
So
But what's Redux Redux though? What is it about? I haven't heard of this.
So it's about, in an attempt to avenge her daughter's death, Irene Kelly travels to parallel universes, killing her daughter's murderer again and again. As she becomes consumed by vengeance, her humanity begins to slip away until the cycle is disrupted when she rescues Mia, a sharp-witted teenager already marked by the killer. I thought the concept was really fun. She's going through all the timelines, trying to find, hey, is there a universe where my daughter is alive? By this, serial killer that kidnaps girls, and to every timeline she goes to, it is always the same and the same. Which for a multiverse movie, is a bit a different take because normally it's always different. And maybe it would have been more interesting to keep killing the same guy throughout the multiverses, but he always has something different. That's maybe a different concept for a different movie. For this movie, it doesn't go that way. It says like all the timelines are like barely any different. Like there's usually like very small differences. For example, she goes to a coffee shop or like one of those American diners, and like only the color of the cup that she gets given is maybe a bit different. And that's about it. Jim Cummings appears in this movie as well. It was very fun to see. Again, it's on the same level as another movie of last year, Descendant. That would be a great sci-fi double feature, like of indie films. I would recommend that. Then I watched Dead to Rights, which was in my honorable mentions. But I believe we will talk about that next week, as you watch that movie as well.
I will try. Yeah, sure. But what's this one about?
So Dead to Rights is
a Chinese movie.
I wasn't prepared for this saying synopsis.
Yeah, no, you don't have to say the synopsis, but maybe just what it's about loosely.
So you got this city in China. Obviously, Japanese soldiers are infiltrating and are like coming in and taking over the cities. And then you got this postman who tries to escape, but unfortunately he can't because the truck that he was trying to chase gets blown up. And then he is hiding away in this store, and it's a photo studio. And there's a Japanese war soldier that's actually a photographer, and he needs those pictures to be developed so he can like promote Japanese. Hey, look how we are like being peaceful with the Chinese, but the postman obviously doesn't have these skills to develop these photos. And there's a family living underneath the photo studio in a cellar who are trying to hide away. And so you get this really interesting take on, again, propaganda in 1937 through these pictures, which is very timely relevant to today as well, with a lot of wars being constantly aware and present in the media landscape that we live in now. The only flaw that I have with Dead to Rights is that it's a Chinese movie. We gotta prop up our Chinese brothers a bit. Hey, look how strong we are as Chinese people. That's the only thing. But as a movie, it goes to places that other movies don't dare really to go. Yeah, was really, really surprised by Dead to Rights. And it is in my top 40 of this year. And the reason that I picked up on this movie is, again, because some of my mutuals rated this movie very highly. It also had a 3.9 on Letterboxd, so I was very intrigued to catch up on this movie before the updated version. Didn't make it in the top 25, but it was close nonetheless. Then we got Reflection in the Dead Diamond. The only reason catch up again, but this is from the director duo Catet and Verzani, which are a Belgian director duo. I haven't seen any of the other movies though. Their most famous one is Let the Corpses Stand, or Laissez bronzer le cadavre. By the way, Reflection in the Dead Diamond is this weird time trippy movie, very much inspired by 60s, especially James Bond, but done in this very experimental filmmaking type way. You got this hitman that is in this hotel where he did a job a few years ago, and he has trouble remembering things, but he's also trying to solve things of the past. It's a very short movie, 87 minutes, but my God, does it fill those 87 minutes with actual brim to the wall visuals, etc. I am very intrigued to visit their filmography, and I wrote in my review, it's kind of ironic to be this movie to let it be first so I can see where they come from, and in that way it's kind of meta. And then I obviously watched Eddington, which I really enjoyed. I call it the little brother of one battle after another, and I think that's a really good double feature. Not everything works in that movie, but I love the Katy Perry fireworks scene. Like, I just love the way it goes through that thing while that song is playing. No one in their right mind would use that song in a film, but somehow Ari Aster does for Eddington, and it's just a bonkers choice to me. So I really liked Eddington. Obviously made into my top 25. And then this week we have another little physical media corner because Ewan knows I went mayhem. Only 3 movies have arrived though, so I will only show these 3 movies. But next week, prepare yourself, folks. Oh my God. Friday Night Lights, Billy Bob Thornton, also a movie that Michael B. Jordan and Jesse Plemons appear in. Granted, probably small roles, but they don't even appear on the little names at the back here. I was surprised. You'd think with Oscar-nominated actors you'd mention them, but apparently not. Then I got a steelbook, The Red Shoes, which is obviously a Powell and Pressburger classic, oftentimes cited by Martin Scorsese as being one of the best movies of all time. And I do actually own a regular Blu-ray version of this, but this was like one of those 3 for $20, and it's like a steelbook of this, and it looks very pretty. In terms of steelbooks, it's definitely like one of the prettier ones I have. So intrigued to watch that, and I guess I'll give you the regular Blu-ray I have when we see each other in Cannes. And then we got A Matter of Life, and that also another Powell and Pressburger film that has like a 4.3 on Letterboxd. It's like in the top 100. So very intrigued to go see that. And that's everything I got for Physical Media Corner. Next week is going to be crazy, y'all.
Yeah, you got more on the story. Actually, for me, for my spotlights, I do have physical media thing that I could say as well, but not movies. Once again, books. There was also a thing of just more orders coming in, that like another 9 books that I could go pick up right now. I picked up, I think, 11 yesterday. I have so many books, but some of them are like part of a box. Like, for example, I got the vintage classics for a bunch of Russian literature, and this is Anya Karenina from Tolstoy, and there's a bunch more that I'm getting. This is the only one I got so far. I got a bunch more of Virginia Woolf, a nice classics box set, but...
So we're not even going to talk about movies next week. We're just going to talk about what we got.
Well, the thing is, I do have them. I do have full. This is full. This is just books.
Keep
they
it for
gave
next
me
week.
because it was so big, and they gave me a big one. And there's 4 books in here as well. But I'm saying that maybe I'll do a bigger showcase, I guess, next week when I got all of them.
Yeah. Movies.
I think that's fine.
Physical media versus books.
But I think this week I'm also continuing to read Dune Messiah. I had a really busy week, so I couldn't finish that book yet. But I've already, I think by the end of this month, I might have read like 10 books already or something like that, which is a record for me. I've just been really enjoying. Like last night, I had my little nightlight on and was still reading until I like fell asleep with the book on me. It was really nice, and it's way better than falling asleep with this fucking thing in your face, you know. So I think that's like a good change that I think I can recommend to everyone. But I also watched some stuff, mainly series, and I don't know if it's in, like, again, I'll do like another recap on Monday. But I did already get to see Project Hail Mary, our main review of next week, and I also read the book
tomorrow in IMAX.
Oh, that's going to be fun. It's a fun movie to talk about, but I guess we'll save that. It's one that will make a ton of money. A lot of people will love it. It's very well made. It's fun. I finished The Pitt, season 2. I got all screeners to that. I think episode 10 is about to come out or just came out, and I watched the whole season. Yet again, will anything top this, right? To say, like, it's the best show on right now. There's nothing better. Leaks above. It's so good.
Ted season 2 recently came out. Obviously, that season of Ted has been popping up on my Twitter. But to be fair, everything I've seen from Ted, it has been pretty funny so far. Also, Daredevil Born Again is coming out soon. Come on, surely that will top the Pit.
No, you are rage baiting me. The show is not going to get topped. I'm so secure in that. The show is brilliant. I gave multiple episodes a 10 out of 10. It was that good. I really, really loved it. Really resonated. I love how, obviously, I won't talk about like where the final few episodes go, but they're like gut-wrenching stuff, not just on the medical front, but for these characters. It is so, like, it's so impressive. The filmmaking behind it is so impressive. I also think One Piece Season 2 is pretty fun, but yeah, I'll talk about that in more detail. And I got to see the first couple of episodes of Invincible, but it's still under embargo before this episode comes out, so I can't talk about it.
Aww.
But another shout-out that I gave you was Rooster, that new show with,
Steve Carell.
Steve Carell, and he's an author that gives a guest lecture at the university that his daughter teaches at, and she's married, but her husband cheated on her with a graduate, and there's this sort of fallout, a lot of like very wittily clever written dialogue, observations of the Steve Carell awkwardness too. Rooster, I've just seen the one episode also out on HBO. I think for me, I'm just reminded that like HBO is so far and beyond the best for TV, like still to this day. I hope Paramount doesn't fuck that up too majorly. But yeah, man, that's my, again, not that many spotlights, a bunch of TV stuff that I know I can't talk about in full detail because, there's a limited sort of interest from your end, and I think that's fair for me. Like, I'll do that elsewhere.
Here's the thing, the reason why I don't watch shows is because if I watch the show, then I'm all in on that show and I can't really watch anything else. That's how I did it with Game of Thrones. When Game of Thrones Season 8 came out, I watched Game of Thrones Season 1 to Season 7 in 11 days.
But it's also that you don't like watching stuff that is still on air for most of the things. You have a few exceptions, but a lot of the stuff that other people recommend to you, maybe that isn't naturally brought onto you, I think you like to wait until it's almost done, or like the hype is maybe
not
at
really.
a peak.
I actually quite like the weekly format, but
no, not that you wait for the weekly stuff, but more like seasons. That like maybe there's a hype for a show.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't really do like a lot of seasons. Like if a new series comes out, like with just one season, I might tap into it. But
and honestly, with the Pit, because it's always like an hour in real time for 15 hours, like it's been like 2 weeks since I've seen episode 13, and I watched 14 and 15 yesterday, and there was a slight disconnect of like, because there's things that come back from like hour 2, 3, 4 in the 15 hour, and then like it's been weeks, so that's also like a very bingeable show too. But yeah,
comment, like, and subscribe.
Book call next week, and there's a moth in. Why the fuck is a moth in my room? It's just we're getting old and stale, and the moths all around. But next week on Monday, we're gonna bring you a short and concise Oscar recap, which for our standards means that we're probably gonna talk about at least half an hour of that.
And I will have watched live.
And I maybe will have. We'll see. And then later in the week, we'll review Project Hail Mary, as well as potentially Resurrection. We'll see. Maybe that's also the week after. Then on the inaugural standalone episode of World Cinema, that 2.54 inch... No, fuck. Centimeter barrier. No. Slip up. It's not a Freudian slip, though. That wouldn't make any sense. Why would it be Freudian? Anyways, comes out this Thursday for the first time. And then for the subsequent episodes, I don't even know yet what we'll talk about the week after, because that's going to be revealed on that show. So tune in, leave a like, subscribe to the show. And we'll also have a separate playlist going up. I think retroactively, we'll also put the individual clipped reviews from our World Cinema section into that podcast, so it's all neatly already in there. And we've already done a bunch for that show, so it's like a sort of preamble until we lead into episode 1 properly of that show. That's that. I don't know if there's anything else to talk about. I think we're good.
I mean, just that the week after we're starting the Cinematic Doppelgängers.
Yeah, that too.
I believe next week we're also talking about Magellan, which I mentioned earlier. Might that make it in my top 25? We'll see then. Maybe talk about Resurrection, and I believe that's about it.
That's about it. So we'll see you soon, hopefully, in one of our 17 shows that we got going on this channel.
Yeah.
And